All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning, all. I'm excited. It is our Big Friday show, and we're coming off a meetup that went very well last night, I thought. Yeah. We met people from... Well, we met some people who we've met before. It was good to... It's been a while. Touch base with them again. Kim was there, and Kim talked about her kids playing sports, and she also just kind of hung out with us. We had a lot of political talk last night.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony was there as well. Michael Shure is going to be here in a few minutes in the second hour to talk about any number of things related to politics. There's word out of the court case in Georgia. There's, of course, RFK Jr. and Aaron Rodgers and third-party candidacy, its effect on the... We'll talk a lot about what's going on there, but he was with us last night. Josh Mankiewicz came through from Dateline. I thought it was really a lot of fun, actually, and I've received some good words on it from those who were there. So.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah, a lot of positive letters, so there you go. We have Friday Fabulous Florida. Snyder today, the culture blaster, who was there last night as well, so let's get started. I don't need to tell you that Mark's Madness is well underway. Tony, I think I turn to you. Mm-hmm. Because Albert is in Taiwan. Now, Albert was supposed to join us last night. It was a bit of a disappointment, just to speak frankly, because Albert said that they couldn't
to work.
They couldn't load the app, and it was that's really bad news on the one hand, and the other thing that was kind of also weird related news is we had somebody else from Taiwan who did load the app. So I was able to say to Albert, excuse me, but I believe, you're wrong. So, but then he and his buddy, who he's there in Taiwan with, both tried to load the app, apparently, and neither one could load it. So, I don't know, So anyway, back to Mark's Madness. I turned to Tony because, Tony, you're the keeper of Mark's Madness in the commissioner's absence.
Yes.
And I wanted to just check in on those things that have been put to bed and those things that are alive for the next 24 hours.
Yes.
Okay. So first they've been pretty, not close races.
No.
I think, yeah.
It's been a very funny thing of watching. Basically, the split's been 70-30 almost in every vote so far, in every matchup so far.
Our winners are overwhelming.
Yes,
Good
so
Day,
far.
Sir beat Processes and Protocols.
Yes. And Sayonara beat
Sayonara Sucker beat We'll Do It Live.
Mm-hmm.
Chit beat Dr. Phil Good Thing.
Yep.
And
that's not fake.
And That's Not Fake beat my favorite drop maybe of the year, which is the...
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
I just love that drop, but it did not even survive the first round. So That's Not Fake beat that. That was just yesterday. So if you're new, we play these drops off against each other. We call it Mark's Madness. Each hour, you'll vote first in the live chat, and then when the live show is over, in the community section of our channel, you'll vote for one of the two that are going up against each other. Is everybody clear on how it works? Let's do it!
Mark's Madness!
I'm excited for today. Now it gets tougher. Today you'll vote for either.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Or you'll vote for...
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Oh, this is tough. Again, it's either the producer...
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Or...
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Good luck! I'm excited. It really is... I don't even know how to handicap this one. They have all gone down 70-30. I don't know. I will tell you this, and you can tell this by just looking at the layout and looking at the grid and looking at the brackets. The 5th seed, so this is a pretty top 5 seed, is the producer drop. The lower seed, the 28th seed, is going back to Texas. So you have a lower seed playing against a top 5 seed. You would think, if you had to handicap it from the outside, that the producer drop would win. But we will see. And
I really like that Texas one, though.
I do, too. I love that Texas one.
Yeah.
Tony, how is the level today? My level, which has been all over the place. I had to lower it last night. I just pushed it up a little bit.
To me,
Audio level?
Music, well, again, me personally, I thought your music was mixed a little hot. But other than that, I think everything's been sounding good. Nothing distorted and all that. So
but the levels are okay.
I think so. I hear myself good, and I'm checking on the extra feed.
You're listening on the YouTube stream. This is the new thing that I have to. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Kim, do you have anything to report in the way of breaking news before I get started?
Nothing breaking, sir.
Okay. I've got a law and disorder to come. I also have a turbo that's rich, and I have some news that falls into the category of I guess I could do it in law and disorder, but I'm not going to because I just think it's sort of in a separate category. We've talked about it before. It was and it's not about politics. We have a lot of politics, as you know, top of the next hour. Michael Shure joins us, and then we get Friday Fabulous Florida, bottom of this hour. But there was it is a legal agreement. So, maybe it's a legal agreement. Technically, I should do it. I don't want to go look at the bylaws of the show. Can you do law and disorder? Can you crack it open for this, Tony?
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
It is a groundbreaking $418 million legal agreement that could drive down commission rates and shrink the number of real estate agents. This is a revolutionary judgment. We've talked about it before. This from the Wall Street Journal this morning. Realtors reach settlement that will change how Americans buy and sell homes. The National Association of Realtors has reached a nationwide settlement of claims, and these claims are that the industry conspired to keep agent commissions high. This is a deal that they've just made that may produce the biggest change in how Americans buy and sell homes in decades. It's a $418 million agreement, as mentioned. It will make it easier for homebuyers to negotiate fees with their agents and could lead to more buyers really foregoing using agents altogether.
They say that 6% commission in the home buying transaction is gone now.
That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
Especially here in California, where the median price of a home is between 800 and 1.2, right?
Thank you. And I've tried to negotiate those rates before, negotiate them down, and they're very, very tough on that. Very little wiggle room. They abandoned these long-standing industry rules that have required most home sale listings to include an upfront offer telling buyers' agents how much they're going to get paid. It was really a way to incentivize, when you list your house, getting people through, getting agents interested, right? So sellers have typically set these buyers' agents' fees, and consumer advocates say that this arrangement has prevented buyers from negotiating to save money. And they've kept commissions in the U.S. higher than in most of the world. And so that's what this court case was about. So if this settlement is approved by a federal court, listings of homes for sale in most parts of the country would no longer include upfront offers to buyers' agents. This would start in mid-July. Buyers would be able to negotiate compensation upfront with their agent. The settlement money is going to be distributed to recent home sellers nationwide. Buyers are likely to be, they say here and suggest that they'll be more price conscious when selecting an agent. And now, I suppose if you're an agent, it gives you some leverage. You can offer sort of essentially a smaller fee, and you could modify your services maybe, in exchange for a smaller fee.
According to CNN Business, they say it means real estate commissions will fall between 25 and 50%.
Wow, that's huge. And that does change the nation's real estate agent pool dramatically, potentially. I've negotiated it down on my last 2 transactions. I have to do this to see that.
6% is ridiculous these days. Yeah.
There's RN Sue. She's successfully done that then. It's not always done successfully. Good for you for doing it. But it's an area, you always feel as though there are a lot of areas where there's wiggle room in buying and selling a house. They do that physical inspection. You get credit for certain things that the physical inspector sees. There were a couple of those physical inspectors and also appraisers who are regular listeners to this show. But the one place there really hasn't been a lot of wiggle room, typically, at least in my experience, is that real estate agent fee. Again, because you don't want to disincentivize your agent from representing your house aggressively. Here's something from Daniel. The last time he was with us last night, by the way, in the chat, in the hangout, in the meetup. The last time I sold a house, I asked the listing agent if he could negotiate the commission rate, and he started to, what is it? I can't see it now.
She started to cry, seriously.
Oh, my God.
I know. I'd like to talk about your fee. Why have to talk
my
about
fee.
my fee?
Please don't touch my fee. I've got a child in college. Well, everybody's got to make a living, and and Brian says I've purchased and sold several of my homes without an agent over the last couple of years. So there's that. Need a lawyer, not a real estate agent, says somebody else. Ricky says that, actually. It's funny because oftentimes they'll tell you to get a lawyer even though you have a real estate agent. So, I mean, there's that as well. But, I mean, the world of real estate is an interesting one, and it's full of many intricacies. But this is titanic. This is huge. This changes the industry. I mean, and as they suggested here in the Wall Street Journal, it may change the number of people who want to get into the real estate agency business, The agreements, finally, before we move on, will resolve wide-ranging legal exposure for this industry, which has been facing a series of antitrust lawsuits similar to the Kansas City case, where this was first, where they delivered a $1.8 billion verdict against the real estate industry trade group. That's NAR, I think they're called, National Association of Realtors. Mm-hmm. $1.8 billion was the verdict, okay? And this happened back in October. They found that the industry rules for how buyers' agents are paid were keeping commission rates artificially high. So this is in response to that, and will hopefully resolve other legal exposure, is their point here in the Journal. So I don't know. I mean, so many people have gone into real estate. It's a great way to make a living. It's a great way to essentially leverage your network. A lot of people who have very connected lives go into real estate because oftentimes, it takes just a handful of listings and, you're flush. So
they're saying the way that real estate agents will be paid will change, and no one knows exactly how. Some people say the agent may now just charge a $3,000 flat fee for selling your house. Others will offer a more competitive commission, perhaps. We don't know how this is going to work out, and maybe different agents will be doing it different ways, and there will be no standard.
I suspect it'll be a little bit of the latter, because the thing about the high price tag properties, and I lived next door, 2 doors down from Travis Scott, and his place went for $45 million. It was listed for $45 million. Then it dropped to 29 million, 25. I mean, he paid cash, I think, at 25 or 27 million. Now, my place could literally, my entire home could fit into his foyer, okay? So,
yours was the sad little house next door.
Thank you. It was that's precisely. But my point is, you began to see how, there's Travis's spot. You began to see how challenging it is often to sell even gorgeous properties like that to people who can afford those big price tags. So here's my point. Sometimes, agents deserve more for being able to move a big property like that with a big price tag. But they shouldn't be bleeding, and I'm not suggesting that they've been bleeding, but I mean, it's a pretty heavy tag, man, 6% on the kind of asking prices that we see in the Bay Area and California. Please. I mean, it's pretty wild. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, this falls into the disorder part of Law and Disorder. In North Carolina, the GOP nominee to run North Carolina's public schools called for violence against Democrats, including executing Obama and Biden. She's a total loon. She's going to control an $11 billion budget in North Carolina's public schools, and she has a history marked by extreme and controversial comments of the sorts that I've just referenced. She shares baseless conspiracy theories, frequently calls for the execution of prominent Democrats. There she is now. Her name is Michelle Morrow. She's a conservative activist, and she upset the incumbent superintendent of public instruction in North Carolina's Republican primary. She's expressed support in 2020 for the televised execution of former President Obama, suggested killing then-President-elect Joe Biden. In other comments on social media between 2019 and 2021, I mean, this is not a long time ago. I mean, at least with Aaron Rodgers, we got to go back over 10 years. I mean,
She's crazy.
She is a nut job.
Here's what she said about President Obama. I prefer a pay-per-view of him in front of a firing squad. This is who you're going to put in charge of schools in a state to oversee the education of children? This person? Please.
And I think the other thing that is, I think this is true. You can Google it and check it.
Google it.
I believe her children, and she wants to be in superintendent of public schools and public instruction. Her children are homeschooled. Okay.
What?
Yeah, here it is.
Really?
Thank you. That's right. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. What
She's
business does
a
she
grassroots activist who homeschooled her children. It's
put her in
absolute
charge of public schools.
And yet you want to be in. Okay, so that's going on in North Carolina with the GOP candidate there. Mitch McConnell is fuming after the courts are cracking down on Republican judge shopping. Plaintiffs are no longer going to be able to choose which judge hears their case. This is a policy announced this week. It'll enforce this whole random judge selection in civil suits that pertain to national legislation. They oftentimes will bring the civil suit, as you know, and it will have national applicability. And as a result, it's shopped locally, but it applies nationally. It will limit this practice of judge shopping. This is a tactic that's long been utilized to effectively guarantee favorable outcomes by litigants. And you could cherry pick judges. It's a little bit of what we've seen. We're now well acquainted with the legal system, busting over people essentially with the judges that are handpicked. Talked to David Katz about this the other day, and he thinks this is a very big deal. And indeed, it should be. Judge shopping has long been utilized by Republicans who pick single-judge judicial districts with conservative inclinations. So these are like rural districts where you're likely to find a judge with conservative inclinations. As I say, inclinations would be a ding word, by the way. But now random judge selection is not going to be geographically restricted. So judges will be chosen randomly from any of the 94 federal judicial districts. You can't look for that rural judge anymore. But Mitch McConnell is criticizing the new policy. and saying that it's a partisan policy that does Washington Democrats their bidding. And again, this is out of the federal courts, this new policy. So it's very big, and it will have national repercussions. Meantime, finally in Georgia, with the case involving Donald Trump and the election meddling, Fani Willis can stay on the case, says the judge overseeing this election interference case. But her prosecutor, Nathan Wade, he's the lead prosecutor, who she had a romantic relationship with, he will have to exit the case, not because of a demonstrable impropriety, I should make the point, but because the judge feels, this is Judge Scott McAfee is the guy's name, he feels to avoid the appearance of any impropriety that he should step back. So again, this is Wade, who she had a relationship with. It's not an ongoing relationship now, but the judge's point is to avoid any kind of appearance of impropriety, Wade should step back from the case. Willis can stay on. Wade must withdraw there it is. Judge, Willis or Wade must go. So one of you has to get out of things as the entire thing moves forward, just to avoid the appearance of, as I say, a conflict of interest or impropriety of any kind. Quote, as the case moves forward, reasonable members of the public could easily be left to wonder whether the financial exchanges have continued and resulting in some form of benefit to the district attorney, or even whether the romantic relationship has resumed. Put differently, an outsider could reasonably think that the district attorney is not exercising her independent professional judgment totally free of any compromising influences. As long as Wade remains on the case, this unnecessary perception will persist. And so McAfee's order is, look, one of you has to step down so that you don't have the appearance of impropriety. I mean, this is a historic criminal case, of course, against Trump, essentially suggesting, and I think it's fairly powerful, the case, just based on evidence we've heard, recordings and testimony. That is testimony that we know in depositions, that Trump essentially tried to overthrow the results in Georgia, 11,780 votes.
Trump says, his lawyers say, they can't believe this ruling, that there's total conflict of interest here, and they're going to keep trying to get her out.
Well, they've been pretty successful in delaying things. I've got to say, the delay tactics that Trump has employed have been successful. The legal system seems to, if not be coddling him, at least delaying things in service of his overall plan, which is to delay things, right, past the election. So,
I mean, and this is the one that I think is so obvious to so many people with the I just need 11,780 vote phone call that, has been broadcast around the nation. It's like, what more do you need to show that cheater, pumpkin eater over there?
Yes, and it's funny. Page 24 of the judgment was just the words cheater, pumpkin eater.
Right?
The judges,
yes.
The judges' chambers apparently not reviewing there too carefully. That's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Mr. Trump, I'm finding you guilty under the cheater, pumpkin eater
What?
ruling. Yes.
It's the cheater, pumpkin eater clause.
That's right.
Yes.
I can note. Now, Tony, I saw in the chat that somebody were saying that I'm loud. I don't know. Yes.
No, I think you're perfect. It's just that I'm soft.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Kim, for taking the
Kim, how are you?
Taking the heat on that. I appreciate that very much. Anyway, we work constantly to give you a good listening experience, everyone. So I'm hopeful that. How about a super sticker from
Big
Wes?
shout out.
Big shout out. Thank you very much for the support. We're a crowd-funded show. I was just talking about this today. There's some new things coming in the month ahead, and I can't wait to tell you about them in the month of April. Ways to support the show, but you guys have been great. And honestly, we're only here. And I tell Kim this, and I tell you this occasionally, everybody watching and listening. We're only here because of the regular community of supporters who get us on Patreon and PayPal. I mean, that really is just the money we can count on, you know. And so you can find Patreon and PayPal links under this video and under most of our videos. And of course, the main website is the Mark Thompson Show at, the MarkThompsonShow.com. TheMarkThompsonShow.com. But again, Patreon and PayPal links, you don't even have to go to the website. They're right under this video, and they should be available to you. So thank you, everybody who jumps in with super stickers and super chats. That really does help us, and so we really do appreciate it. Before Kim's News and Florida, I got to check in on Mark's Madness. Tony, tell me what's going on. We've got a big one going, man. Big one. Either you vote for
whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing,
or you go for
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
That's right. Again, it's producer
whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing,
or
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
This is closer. Let's update the totals now. Here we go. Producer No Idea has 63% of the votes right now. Going back to Texas, one of our favorite drops, has 37%. Again, producer No Idea was the 5 seed in the tournament. And going back to Texas was the 28th seed. So you would expect it to be knocked out going back to Texas in this round. But there have been upsets before. And I can never rule out an upset here. You vote now live in the chat. And after the show, which is really the time most people listen or see the show, you vote in the community section of YouTube. You go to our channel and you'll see live videos, shorts, community. Click on community and there it is. You vote. In this case, producer No Idea or going back to Texas. My bracket is already in trouble.
Uh-oh.
So we will see. But smash the like button like a boss. Again, another drop that has received a lot of hate lately is the
smash it with your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod is not getting love. I get emails all the time saying I can't take it anymore. But then I got an email about chit.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
It's pretty crazy how the email is full. I don't know whether to, what to think. So, Kim's News and then Friday Fabulous Florida. Albert has curated it from Taiwan.
Wow.
The commissioner. He has, just when I think Albert is really slacking it, mostly because he talks about how he slacks it. He advertises, kind of a slacker, You start to believe it. He's not slacking from Taiwan. He is doing Mark's Madness a bit. He set it all up, and he actually kicked it off from Taiwan. Now he's turned it over to Tony. And he curated all of Friday Fabulous Florida today. So we'll get to that and everything else. Snyder, Shure, everything. Can you tell that I like to delay? Yes, I do. Kim's News, and we continue. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Fulton County DA Fani Willis can remain on former President Trump's election interference case if the special prosecutor is removed. In a ruling today, a Georgia judge also gave Willis the option to remove herself from the case. Trump's legal team had pushed to have Willis removed from the case due to her romantic relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Wade. There's a tornado outbreak in the central U.S. It killed at least 3 people and injured dozens more. Officials said the 3 people died in one tornado in Ohio. Others were hurt in a separate tornado in Indiana. Heavy damage reported in several areas, including the town of Winchester, Indiana, northeast of Indianapolis. The White House is taking steps to eliminate junk fees for college students and student loan borrowers. This part of the president's 2025 budget request. The Biden administration pushing to do away with student loan origination fees. Those are the percentage of the loan amount considered a processing fee. The plan is also targeting college banking junk fees and automatic charges for textbooks as well. A unanimous Supreme Court decision today. Public officials can sometimes be sued for blocking their critics on social media. Yeah. It is an issue that first arose for the Supreme Court in a case involving then-President Donald Trump. Justice Amy Coney Barrett writing for the court today that officials who use personal accounts to make official statements may not be free to delete the comments about those statements or block the critics altogether. She wrote, state officials have private lives and their own constitutional rights. And this all centered around 2 cases involving lawsuits filed by people who were blocked after leaving critical comments on social media accounts belonging to school board members in Southern California and a city manager in Michigan. They are similar to a case involving Trump and his decision to block critics from his personal account on Twitter. X now. The justices dismissed the case after Trump left office in January of 2021, but these other 2 cases are bringing this ruling. McDonald's says it is working to resolve a system failure impacting restaurants across the world. The company says in a statement this morning it is aware of a technology outage that forced the closure of many locations. Stores in the U.S. and several other countries were left unable to handle customers online and app orders as well. What a failure, affecting their business around the globe today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what happened with Kim?
Oh, am I not here?
Oh, there you are.
No, I don't know. Something's weird with the program today. A popular spring break hotspot in South Florida implementing a curfew starting tonight.
No.
The city of Miami Beach says the ordinance will run between midnight and 6 a.m. every day until Monday morning.
What happened to the personal freedoms in Florida?
Well, they're going a little crazy. Have you seen all the fighting on the streets and the drunkenness?
I guess they don't like
crazy?
the fighting. All right.
Spring break, baby. It's wild. Officials will patrol most of South Beach to make sure people...
There's never been anything like this.
They want everyone to follow the rules. Alcohol sales will end at 6 p.m. every day. So if you're going to booze it up, do it before the dinner hour.
Load up.
City officials say they are protecting the public from the dangerous mayhem that has taken place during spring break in recent years. Wow.
But they didn't want to protect the public against the COVID, remember? None of that. No social distancing, nothing down there. Florida was the Wild West, baby, on that
Drunken
COVID
young
stuff.
people, though, we have to take steps.
Yeah,
right?
Those mayhem people. I understand.
At the box office, Mark Wahlberg's Arthur the King is off to a decent start at the box office. The film made $825,000 yesterday from Thursday previews alone. It is expected to pull in between 8 and 10 million in its debut weekend in theaters. Kung Fu Panda 4 projected to take first place again with between 28 and 30 million, and Dune Part 2 expected to net between 24 and 27 million in its third week of release. So we'll see.
I feel like Kung Fu Panda 4 might find the McAllisters in the crowd at some point. Am I right?
No, we have a ban on Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, why is that?
Because they have name calling and they're mean.
Go.
Yeah. So we don't partake in the Kung Fu Panda.
I see. Okay.
House rule.
Wow.
Speaking of what we do partake in, yes, it's the Mega Millions jackpot. It stands at a whopping 792 million.
Wow.
What? Working out to 382 million. I think that they really try to cheat you when they, what kind of taxes and fees are they taking out of that money, please?
Well,
Saturday, the Powerball drawing has a grand prize of at least 600 million. Tickets are $2 for both lotteries. You were going to say?
No, I'm sure. I mean, you can take a little chunk out at that level. I'm okay.
It's not a little chunk. The prize is $792 million. If you take the cash option, you get $382 million. Please.
Well, I mean, that's the. I love it when we talk about these lottery things. You seem to be very unhappy with $300 million. I mean,
I'm just saying, where's the rest of the money going? They tax you at an exorbitant rate.
No, here's the.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
Okay, here's the deal, all
of you. It's like a luxury bonus tax rate. Then the state takes a fee, and the lottery takes a fee, and everyone's taking a fee.
You just don't get it.
Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I don't get it.
Who's the big winner here, the lottery or me?
Well, I mean, the lottery's always going to win. The casino's always going to get the most money. But what they're saying is, hey, if you want the $700+ million, we give it to you in an annuity, in a sense. Right? It's going to be handed out to you for the rest of your life, but you're not going to get a big chunk of cash up front. If you want a big chunk of cash, we'll give you $300 million. My view is, great, give me the $300 million and keep the rest. I don't care what happens.
It's asinine. The sign says $792 million. I want it all, and I want it now.
Don't talk to me that way.
Wow, that's very, very.
Good day, sir.
Okay, I get it. It.
That's the way it is. This report sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I'm telling you, I can't get enough of this vanilla tea. It's good stuff. The coffee, the espresso, the tea. Check out CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. And if you happen to load something into your checkout cart, make sure that you enter the code MARKT at checkout. It's our exclusive 10% off just for you. And it's a happy day when this box of good stuff arrives on your porch.
It's a happy day.
It's a happy day. It's happier when they take all your money on the lottery. I'm telling you that. I'd rather have the coffee arrive on my porch. I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is The Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Who's Mark Thompson?
What up, everybody? Thank you for smashing the like button. Smash that like button like a boss if you're watching on YouTube.
It with your iron rod.
Give us a little love. It helps us in the algorithm of YouTube. Thank you for sharing our shorts. Thank you for sharing our videos. That helps expand this channel. This is a homegrown channel. Everyone you see, that's it. We don't have any big system of people helping us behind the scenes at all. And believe me, it's exhausting. So I appreciate all the ways you support. We had a great meetup last night with a bunch of listeners. We limited it to 20, so we were actually able to have some interaction. There was a lot of political talk, and it was really a fascinating visit. And we had a lot of the regulars in. Rothman was here, and Michael Shure, and Jim Avila, and Josh Mankiewicz from Dateline, and we had a lot of fun. Snyder came along, the Culture Blaster. So we'll do another one soon, but really appreciate everybody supporting and being part of that. And as I say, we will do another one. What does it say?
Gail Guthrie for a $20 super sticker. See ya, Albert. That's all the Taiwanese I know. TGIF, everyone. Hope FFF is good. And a $20 super sticker.
Gail Guthrie is HOF.
Big shout out.
Love her. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gail.
Thank you so much.
It is, Albert, I must say, see ya. Because really impressive. Kelly Malloy, thank you, Kelly. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Big shout out.
Kelly not only supports the show, but supports us with information about Amazon deliveries, because Kelly has some relation to the Amazon delivery world and delivery drivers and abandoning Amazon trucks and hijacking the trucks and delivery trucks. Those stories find their way into our show regularly, so appreciate that. Now, Kim, do you have any other business before I continue?
Kim, how are you?
No, please carry on.
All right. So I just want to mention before I get to Friday Fabulous Florida, you'll indulge me because
now,
it is.
I can't believe it! Mark's Madness.
And we do have a real good one going. We have a top 5 seed going off against a bottom 25 seed. It's either, and you vote for these.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
It's either that or it's.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Again, either.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Or you vote
Y'all
for.
can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
One or the other. Only one can go on to the next round. And right now, Producer, no idea, is leading. But again, you can continue to vote after the live show is off. You'll vote in the community section of our YouTube channel. We like to do it on Fridays. We check in with a state that never disappoints. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
We do have alligators in Florida today. Not yet, but you will find a gator story. This story we starts with the second favorite thing next to alligators when it comes to Florida business, and that is, anyone? If you guessed machete, give yourself points. Yes. A Florida man is arrested after allegedly attacking a victim with a machete. I don't want to go back to jail, he said. They arrest this suspect who attacked another man with a machete during a dispute about looking through text messages. The Hernando County Sheriff's Office said that Douglas Albert Fullerton, you see him there, 24, and again on the Mark Thompson Show booking scale meter, I would say booking photo meter comes in at I'm going to give him a 5 on this. He looks a little like he's been up for a couple of...
He looks like a sad sack. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Douglas Albert Fullerton, anyway, 24, pictured there, was caught going through his roommate's phone late Monday night at their home on Fort Myers Street in Brooksville. When the victim found him and confronted him about it, Fullerton went and grabbed a machete before he returned and hit the victim in the face.
Oh, God.
Police said that the victim said that he grabbed the blade to prevent Fullerton from striking him again. And that's when Fullerton dropped the machete. Then, the guy you're seeing there, Fullerton, retrieved a silver knife from the kitchen, returned to continue this dastardly business.
Yikes.
When the victim turned and attempted to run away, he felt the knife hit his back. The sheriff's office saying that the victim ultimately escaped to a bathroom and called 911 as Fullerton yelled from outside the door, "Tell them you got into an accident. I don't want to go back to jail."
Right.
The victim eventually attempted to flee the residence, but Fullerton was nearby and began chasing him then as well, Kim. Finally, when the victim reached a neighboring home, he saw Fullerton was no longer there, and he remained there until deputies arrived.
Was he all hopped up on meth or something?
Somebody was hopped up on meth, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But he was taken to the hospital for a deep laceration to his face, fractures to his facial bones, and minor cuts to his hands and back. Deputies say they remained at the scene for Fullerton to return.
What can you tell us about the scene?
Deputies are remaining there, Larry.
What can you tell us about the scene?
The canine and drone units also called in.
What can you tell us about the scene?
They finally got Fullerton. They issued one of those things you issue, an arrest warrant, aggravated battery and assault with a deadly weapon. Yeah, he also had an active warrant for violation of probation and possession of a controlled substance.
He sounds like the roommate from hell.
Well, before you say that, let me just tell you, the victim and Fullerton were in anyone? Romantic relationship, everyone. Yes. Some people like it rough, and there you got it. A Florida man is accused of rigging a roulette machine for $68,000 at a casino.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Yeah, he is pleading not guilty.
How do you rig a machine?
Let's find out. He and an accomplice. You got to get an accomplice, Kim, first of all.
Need a helper.
Yes. They tampered with a video roulette machine.
Oh.
They made off with $68,388 in illegitimate winnings. Aren't those the best winnings? Michael Shea, 33, of Coral Springs, Florida, charged with felony theft and modifying a gaming device. The authorities say that... What's that?
Did they hack it?
They say that they're seen on surveillance manipulating the roulette machine. They didn't say, and you can understand why they wouldn't, how the suspects manipulated the machine, how they compromised the machine. But they cashed 12 tickets worth a total of $31,500 after spending about 11 hours in the casino.
Isn't it casinos? Don't they have like video cameras everywhere pointing in every direction?
Yes.
They're going to see if you try to stick something on the machine, right?
Yes, it's true. What you're saying is true, Kim. I don't know how they did it.
Not the place to be a cheater, pumpkin eater. Nope.
No, I agree. I wonder if, again, they'll use the cheater, pumpkin eater ruling in the ultimate court judgment. Tapeworms are found in a Florida man's brain.
Please, no.
Yes, they are linked to undercooked bacon. Undercooked pork consumption is a theoretical risk factor for neurosticercosis. This is what's suspected in this case.
Ew.
A 52-year-old man reported worsening migraines over a 4-month period. Those worms were in there. The CT scan of his brain revealed that he had a cluster of cysts in his brain, but apparently the imaging pointed neurologist toward a possible lead, a rare parasitic infection of the brain that is strongly linked to pork consumption.
Ooh, gross.
This is a case that has received some attention in the American Journal of Case Reports. He didn't present with common neurological symptoms, Kim, like seizures or facial asymmetry or weakness or numbness. Asymmetry is a ding word. But a CT scan did reveal he had a cluster of these cysts in his brain. And again, this parasitic infection of the brain that is strongly linked to pork consumption is what they believe this was all about. He had recently complained of worse and worse migraines. It's contracted when humans ingest eggs found in the feces of other humans.
Ew, barf.
This pork tapeworm. And the truth is, and this is, again, shout out to all the countries that ban pork. There are a bunch of them in the Middle East, right?
Yeah.
The report noting that countries that ban pork have virtually non-existent rates of this condition. He hadn't traveled recently or had close contacts with pigs, so neurologists believe that it was his lifelong preference for soft bacon, which may have led to his accidental undercooked bacon consumption. And pork consumption, undercooked pork consumption, is a theoretical risk factor for this condition.
I thought we didn't really have that in this country, that we had processes, protocols, and standards when it came to the production of meat like that. And so this, may be found in other countries where maybe they didn't have these standards, but in America that we didn't, our pork was held to different standards.
Well,
we have processes and protocols and standards.
I can understand that's a common misconception, and frankly, it's based on another common misconception. The common misconception that it's based on is the myth of American superiority in every way, right? It is truly a myth, right?
I mean, we're not better than everyone else?
Thank you.
You just pop in every bubble that I had over here.
We have a notion that we have tougher standards than the rest of the world, that, we wouldn't let pesticides in our fruits and in our vegetables, etc. The truth is the rest of the world oftentimes has much tougher restrictions and regulations than do we. But now to the more important point here, and that is, if you're going to eat meat, it doesn't matter how many times it's gotten the USDA seal. You need to cook it, okay? Because uncooked meat has a bunch of parasites potentially that could affect you in this way. If he ate undercooked bacon all his life, it wasn't an accident. Thank you, Mama de 3 boys. That's exactly right. So it doesn't matter who looked it over, how it was processed. What matters is that it was uncooked pork. Crocodile attacks.
Yes.
Let's get to it. There was a crocodile attack of a guy in the Everglades on the same day that an alligator bites off somebody's hand near Orlando. No, that's not appropriate to applaud for the...
I mean...
A man was injured after being in a rare crocodile attack in the Everglades National Park in Florida on the same day as another man lost his hand in an alligator attack outside of Orlando.
What?
I know, it's a weird congruence to the universe.
It's brutal in Florida, man. Wow.
This guy was 68 years old. His boat capsized.
Look at the teeth.
He was swimming to shore. Again, if you're just listening, Kim is commenting on the teeth of the gator, not the teeth of the 68-year-old man. Swimming to shore at the Flamingo Marina because his boat had capsized, you see, Kim. Witnesses saw him go underwater, and the man was able to get to safety. Park rangers immediately treated him for a cut on his leg. He was taken to the hospital in stable condition, according to the Park Service. Rangers and park biologists are continuing to investigate the incident and monitor that suspected crocodile. Meantime, there was this other crocodile attack of this man who lost his hand because of it. It was a 9-foot gator, bit off his hand while he was fishing in a retirement community outside of Orlando.
What?
I know
Was it the Villages?
It might have been.
Oh.
I think they would have said it was the Villages. Okay, I don't know that it was. But it is... I think sad. I mean, he's in retirement. He's just kicking it. And then
if you're retired, what do you need
hand.
your hand for anyway?
Right. I mean, you will
work
be
days
going
are over.
From here on out, you'll be a one-handed kind of guy.
I'm kidding.
But
yes.
This 9-foot gator bit off his hand. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission did not release the man's identity, but a neighbor said that what she saw was that the man's arm was in the alligator's mouth and the creature was rolling on the bank. You know, they call that a death roll. The experts in Florida who are gator people, they call it a death roll. And she said, I knew he was in trouble. Wow. Thank you.
That's pure speculation.
Yes, I know you're just speculating. When you see an alligator with a guy's arm in his mouth and he's doing a death roll, yeah, it seems to me like he might be in some trouble.
I knew he was in trouble when I saw the bloody stump.
His hand and part of his arm had been bitten off, she said.
What can you tell us about the scene?
The gator has his arm in his hand, Larry.
What can you tell us about the scene?
The licensed trapper who arrived after he was called, after the 911 call, did do this, Kim. Cut the gator open.
Oh.
So that the victim's hand and arm could be retrieved. But it is unclear, and honestly, people are saying that it's likely not going to be possible to reattach it.
Oh, yeah, because it's probably chewed up, right?
I really don't know, but I'm guessing it's not in the best of shape. And also you have digestive juices that have worked on it for a little while, and it's all pretty ugly. So can we move on, please? A Florida guy is arrested for threatening, but that's a little taste of the gators, just because we feel like, it's been a while. A Florida guy is arrested for threatening a McDonald's worker with a crowbar. And there's video of this, Tony. A Florida man is behind bars after getting into an altercation with a McDonald's employee in Fort Myers, Florida.
That takes the happy out of the Happy Meal.
He's 27 years old. He's got his whole life ahead of him. What could possibly bother him? Donta Christopher Davis supposedly went into this McDonald's located on Northeast Pine Road, picked up a DoorDash order, and he got into an altercation after he put the phone in one of the workers' faces, who then told Davis to leave the restaurant.
Yeah.
Security footage shows that Davis grabbed a crowbar when he left the restaurant, went back into the McDonald's with the crowbar. He said to the worker, "I'm not someone to mess with."
Oh.
DoorDash was asked to comment. I mean, they're just looking for a comment from anyone, I guess. There is absolutely no place for violence or intimidation in our platform. Upon learning about this incident, we removed the account of the individual in question. We've worked with local law enforcement to support their investigation. He was taken to Lee County Jail, so he is crowbarring now in police custody.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, there you have it. Meantime, a missing Florida woman is found after banging on a door of a shipping container that she was trapped in. This is a story sent to us by many Mark Thompson Show listeners and viewers. Thank you. The 52-year-old, I'll skip to the important part, uninjured. She was missing, but found safe after banging on the door of the shipping container that she was trapped in, according to the Cocoa Police Department.
How'd she get in there?
She was reported missing after, she apparently was not injured. The family last saw her Monday. She was reported missing after a coworker called to report that she didn't pick up her son. Detectives responded, began to check known locations, interviewing family members and issuing a missing person bulletin. During the course of the investigation, detectives were notified that the woman had been found. She'd been banging on the door of this shipping container when someone heard and unlocked the door. Tyler Sonnenberg, who owns the shipping container, said it was stocked with lawnmowers.
Oh.
He saw her first walking around the area, and then he remembers locking down the storage unit on Tuesday afternoon. He said he didn't hear any noise on Wednesday.
Was she stealing lawnmowers?
He thinks that she may have walked into the unit on her own and passed out. He claims to have found a lighter and pipe inside after she left Thursday. So it seems like she might be,
Chris says she went in to take a nap.
Yeah, it's,
this is no picnic, no summer camp.
Yeah, it's definitely not a summer camp. They're still investigating how she ended up in the shipping container, but that appears to be the story that we have. And finally, a Florida woman celebrating her 106th birthday with her first ever trip to Disney World, everyone.
I can't imagine that would be pleasurable. I mean, at 106,
What?
Leave me alone.
Wow.
You have to roll me through a park full of screaming children when you're 106?
She'd never been to Disney World, Kim, and it is the happiest, most magical place on earth. There she is saying hello to one of the Mickeyites or whatever I wonder if she meant MAGA Mickey, the Trump 2024. Trump 2024! Yeah, Trump 2024! Trump 2024! Magnolia Jackson is her name. She's going to turn 106. She just turned yesterday, 106. She visited Walt Disney World for the first time ever to celebrate her big day. She revealed that she got the idea to celebrate her birthday at Disney World after attending the Florida Classic College football game last fall, where she saw Mickey Mouse perform on the field with his drum major outfit. Mm-hmm. She said that ignited her love for all things Disney. Well, better to have late in life ignited love than not love at all. Disney decided to make her dreams come true when they heard about her wishes, and when she arrived at the Magic Kingdom, Disney cast members and corporate executives, along with Mickey and Minnie Mouse, greeted her with smiles and happy birthdays. There was music, colorful balloons, and, of course, a huge birthday cake. 2024! Okay. She's the oldest living graduate of Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, according to Disney. And they put on quite the show for her. Wow. There they are. All right, let's review. We don't like to, but we have to. Let's review the stories that we've just heard.
All right.
Tony, you will be called upon to pick a favorite as well. So please listen. I will remind you what you've just heard. The Florida guy arrested after attacking the victim with a machete, yelling, "I don't want to go back to jail. Tell him you fell," or something, or whatever the excuse was, right. Tapeworms found in the Florida man's brain linked to undercooked bacon that he's eaten all of his life. The Florida man accused of rigging the roulette machine with his accomplice for $68,000. The croc attacks, we had a pair of them. One in which a guy found his leg inside the alligator's mouth, but he did get away. There were hospitalizations involved, but still he did get away. But the other, sadly, got away, and so did the gator with his hand. And he lost his hand in that incident. A Florida man arrested for threatening a McDonald's worker with a crowbar The missing Florida woman found after banging on the door of her shipping container that she was trapped in. And finally, the 106-year-old who had never before been to Walt Disney World. She was welcomed there like a queen. And what a day it was for her. Now we need to pick a favorite. And so I asked.
2024!
Okay, let me ask. That drop makes me laugh every time. Let's ask Kim. What was
Kim,
your
how are you?
What was your favorite, Kim?
I
please?
am going to agree with Julie in the chat. It's got to be the Croc attack. You missed it because you were reading, but I'm telling you, the comments about the Croc attack so funny in the chat today. Croc attack, 100%.
Croc attack gets it from Kim.
Yeah.
Tony, what about you?
Thanks, Tony.
What was your favorite, please?
You know, I got to give it to the grandmother because she spent, since the 70s, Disney's been in Florida. She never went. She's like, screw them. I'm not paying for that shit.
How could
wait till she got a free? Oh, I go if it's free. I love her for that.
I don't know if she said screw that, but she might have. I don't know. It's possible.
Screw your freedom.
Anyway,
like, no, I'm not going there. Daytona, not that far away.
That's very funny. Yeah, take me to a NASCAR race. I'm not going to Daytona. Right.
College, all that. Nah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just I want to welcome back the most Florida story, which, although I have to tell you, Machete and Gator are a photo finish for me in Florida. So my heart is with the Machete attack, but I know that the best and favorite has to be the Croc attack. Yeah. And so with that, that's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Thank you all for being with us. Our big Friday show. Michael Shure is our political analyst. He's so good to spend time with us. He's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. How about it for Michael Shure, everyone? Oh, I just assumed he was here. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Well, I've been here, I listen to Florida, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you have a favorite, Michael? No, it's not.
Today, actually, I'm gonna abstain because I listened to the end of Florida.
I see, yeah. So you have to hear the entire thing.
I'm still hungover from last night's festivities. So
that was pretty terrific that you joined us. And I thought the interesting thing about last night's meetup was that so many people did want to talk politics. Like they weren't just hanging out. They really wanted to talk to you about politics.
And none of them really seemed interested in Josh Mankiewicz, which was good, too.
So Mankiewicz grew up in this political family, and they really were more interested in that than they were in Dateline. No one came forward with any kind of questions about Keith Morrison or Dateline or any of that.
Right.
So,
Hunter Biden's in the in business, but people really want to talk about his family more than they want to talk about his business.
Exactly right. Now, as you look at this past week, I'll start with something that is both irrelevant and then super relevant, and that's third-party candidacy. I'm getting more and more in my feeds on social media. I'm getting more and more even in news feeds, purely political news feeds, about RFK Jr., about choices and short lists. I know the Aaron Rodgers thing is sort of a sexy story. It doesn't seem as though that would be taken seriously. I mentioned Mike Rowe, who's also on that list. I wonder if you could speak to third-party candidacy and its relevance. And it came up last night that it's not just RFK Jr. who is a third-party candidate. The no labels people really may make a push.
Yeah, and it looks like they're hunting for a Republican. And that, again, I think from both sides hurts Donald Trump. The no labels people are made up of, there are a lot of skeptics that look at no labels, and they should look at them skeptically because they haven't done anything really, right? But they haven't also been able to recruit a candidate. They will have one, and that candidate will most likely be a Republican. What all of these third-party candidates this time seem to be driven by is what the Democrats are driven by, which is stopping Donald Trump. Now, you're going to have people like a Republican no labels candidate say that President Biden's done a terrible job and we should not vote for President Biden. But at its core, it's going to drive a wedge between Republican voters. And it gives these, Republican voters, whatever you say, if you're a Democrat, you think about really if you had a candidate you just despised, right? It would still be hard to vote for the other party if you're a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, no matter what. I mean, so Democrats criticize Republicans. How could you vote for this guy? But it's also very difficult to get a Republican to vote for a Democratic president, especially someone who's voted Republican their whole lives. But if you give them an option that says you don't have to vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden, then it becomes an appealing place, a more appealing place for a Republican voter who just doesn't align at all with Trump, his behavior, his politics, and his way of presidenting. So I think that's why it might be important this time. It may make a difference in certain places. You also have an aging, you have some two aged front runners in this election. I think it will matter in that case, but again, I don't want to put too much into it other than the fact that it makes it a little more interesting. And I would not, if I were the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, or presumed nominee, I would not want any of these other people running.
The no labels people are on the ballot in more states likely than RFK Jr. ends up in?
That's true. Yeah, the no labels people have been around and pushing and organizing for quite a while. And again, getting on the ballot is huge because wherever you are, you're going to siphon votes, and where those votes come from could matter. And, you look at Arizona, you look at Georgia from last time, and these margins were so small. I mean, Niles Francis is a kid who has he's got a newsletter called Peach State Politics, where he does, he looks at things that happen on a very granular level in Georgia. And I was reading through some of his stuff about the primary that, of course, didn't matter in Georgia. Biden and Trump did very well in their primaries. But in DeKalb County, in an area outside of Atlanta, Nikki Haley, who has suspended her campaign, still got 77,000 votes, right? So that means there are 77,000 Republicans who chose not to vote for Donald Trump. Maybe they were making a statement. Let's say half of them were making a statement. That's 38,500 voters that are going to be looking for someone else to vote for or staying home. And that should worry Republicans in that regard. And that's why a third-party candidate could make a difference.
And it's interesting, as you say that, I think particularly at this juncture, these primaries did have messages in the results that, even as one-sided as they were, didn't really influence outcome. They influenced what you could interpret from the vote.
Right. And let's be clear. There are people who are paid to interpret this stuff. And if there's nothing to talk about, then there's nothing to talk about. And that's not great. So you have to find things to talk about. All of these items, though, are interesting. I mean, that stuff that Niles Francis published is super interesting to me. That 77,000 DeKalb County voters outside Atlanta, Republican voters in a Republican primary, voted against Trump. That's one county. If that goes over several counties in Georgia, then you're looking at a really difficult landscape for Donald Trump in Georgia. So again, nothing's set in stone, and Joe Biden has to get his voters out in Georgia as well. But it does make it interesting.
Now a sexy political story that also seems maybe a little more obscure enough that it hasn't made it into the mainstream, but
let me unbutton one more button here.
It is oddly related to that kind of thing. This is going on in Ohio.
Yeah.
There's a Senate primary there, and it breaks out into, competition to another level that includes, reference to, I guess, an adult website or an adult meetup kind of website. It's, So this is the Senate primary in Ohio, the race to face Sherrod Brown. It's a three-way contest between Matt Dolan, a guy named Bernie Moreno, and the Secretary of State, Frank LaRose. And they had apparently a pretty quiet lead up to this final leg of the race, but now it's gloves off and it's like a hockey brawl.
Well, I would say it hasn't been very quiet. So I would argue with you. You have Mike DeWine, the governor, Rob Portman, the former senator, a moderate someone who calls himself a moderate Republican, but supported Trump a lot when he was in office. And it's Sherrod Brown's seat that they're running for. The Trump people, J.D. Vance, who's the other senator who won the Portland seat, those people have all backed Moreno, and LaRose on the other side is backed by DeWine and the Republican establishment there. And it hasn't been pretty. And that's why Trump is going to Dayton, Ohio tomorrow to kind of stir up a little excitement. But if the Trump candidate loses in Ohio, a slap in the face to Jim Jordan and Donald Trump and the other people in Ohio who are supporting Moreno. And this kind of scurrilous story that came out that the Moreno people have denied. They said it's some kid who used to work for Moreno who messed around with his website. Whether or not that's true, whether or not it should or does matter, it was an account on something called Adult Friend Finder, I think. And it showed Moreno looking for guys to hang around with on this, website. I don't know. I think this is going to come down to, I think a lot of minds are made up there. It's going to come down to whether or not the Trump people are going to prevail or the old guard in Ohio is going to prevail. And I don't, maybe this is going to matter to some people, but it's not, it's being dismissed by a lot as well.
Oh, okay. So
it's a big story, don't get me wrong, but it's just a question of whether you want to believe it or not, or whether he was framed or not, or whether people are blowing it out of proportion or not. It's smart, dirty politics in what has already been a very dirty primary.
So now to something that is being talked about. I think the realities of it are fairly complicated and limited, and that's the TikTok ban. I think that even if you were to vote the ban in, even if the president was to sign it, you still would have it challenged in court. I think there's a long way to go before you could ever really. But all of that said, there's buzz on the Democratic side. I mean, this is what I've read. You can tell me if it's really there. About the fact that a TikTok ban would hurt Democrats because their vote is potentially youth vote more than the GOP. So the GOP is already kind of disconnected from TikTok, is the arithmetic, but that young vote, they are connected to messaging on TikTok. And so eliminating TikTok would hurt the Democrats.
I'll buy that. This is predictive analysis.
Sure.
If you're a party that's counting on the youth vote to win the presidency, you're not going to win the presidency, but you also don't want to sacrifice it. If you think that that's the only way to communicate, then you're probably wrong too. I mean, between Snapchat and Instagram and all the other ways they have of communicating, then that's selling the youth vote short. But I do think it's probably a bigger outlet for campaign outreach for the Biden campaign, and a lot of Democrats and a lot of Democratic candidates use TikTok to their advantage. I suspect Republicans do as well, but maybe not in the same numbers. But the biggest part of it is what you started with, which is this is going to take a while. At its worst, or best, whatever your position is on the issue, it will be 6 months after it's decided anyway. So I don't think this is going to dominate the election. I think TikTok will be available to both parties throughout the election, whether there's an appeals process, whether the legislative branch does something, maybe. But I don't think it's going to impact 2024.
Is there a social media platform, Michael, that you see relevant, particularly relevant to this campaign, or is it hard to know? I mean, the new X under Musk, is it Facebook, it seems clearly relevant in the way that you can buy advertising and I'm sorry, and dark money can get into all these places. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a purposeful play by Facebook to avoid politics. I think Truth Social is probably the most galvanizing in terms of getting like-minded people together on one side, and that's the Republican side. That's specifically the Trump, the MAGA side. And then I think that you'd have to look at TikTok and Instagram, less so Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook still, because even if there isn't political content, people on their own posts are able to talk about politics. So I think social media matters. And I think, look, X, Twitter, it's still there for the people that use it, and people still do use it and go to it, and reporters and journalists use it. So I just think its impact has kind of been dulled a little bit as the landscape is figured out. So it's always going to matter, and I think it mattering less might not be a bad thing in the long run. Anyway.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I kind of see Facebook as continuing to be most relevant in among those who are most active politically. Might be a way.
I think so too. But amongst their own groups, I think that the content that's being posted, at least what is being purported by Facebook and Meta, is that they want to limit the political advertising, the political messaging that comes across, the political reporting even that comes across on Facebook, which, it creates a huge challenge for the campaigns, right? I mean, because here you are, you're ramping up for maybe the last decade or so. How do we use social media? Then you finally get to a presidential election in 2014. I mean, I remember using Twitter in 2012 at its, at the beginning. It mattered for the first time in that Romney Obama race in 2012, but neither campaign totally got it. The Romney people did a pretty good job with it, and I think that I think you get into a little bit of the weeds with this because you don't really know how to use it anymore. So it becomes very difficult if there are restrictions on it. And again, if it becomes elitist too, I think that probably hurts the conversation.
Plus, these pronouncements of the sort that you've just referenced, that Zuckerberg makes or whatever, that we're going to plus fit. I just don't know. It's one thing to make the pronouncement; it's another thing to follow through. I think they take.
But you also have Steve Mnuchin, who is 4 years as Treasury Secretary in the Trump administration, saying that he wants to buy TikTok. Well, what does that mean? Does that tilt the playing field to Trump? Well, again, I don't think it's going to matter in this election anyway. But you've got this sort of. I think you got a lot of rich people who are going to own these social media platforms between Zuckerberg and Musk and potentially Mnuchin or someone like that.
And the last thing I'll just say is that YouTube is probably the most powerful platform, and YouTube also silos interests along the way that you've described, along the lines of what you said. So you're. But it's interesting, even on our show, the ads that are dropped in sometimes can be for Fox News Channel. They're just trying to reach people who are news and politically engaged in some way. So
Well,
I don't know how much.
Not the end of the world if we can get people engaged.
If that stuff can punch through. So when are you next out on the road? Are you back out to another Trump rally anytime
Got
soon?
a little breather. We're going to probably go out in a couple of weeks and maybe in 10 days and hit the skids and see what's doing in Trump land. We want to go.
Yeah.
Would like to go to Florida and speak to some of what Florida voters and how they're perceiving the Trump race. He's now a native son to Florida, so there's a little bit of a difference there. But we kind of follow his schedule when it comes to that too.
Yeah, I got
Trump 2024.
Yeah, that's MAGA Mickey.
MAGA Mickey. All right.
Yeah, Trump 2024. And lastly, just because you mentioned Florida, that documents case or the espionage case, sort of that just gets delayed longer.
Yeah.
And it looks as though Trump may be successfully evading any kind of real justice or court cases that purport to bring him to justice until after the election.
Right. It doesn't mean the story goes away, right? I mean, there's a silver lining everywhere. What if what if you're the Democrats and Trump gets acquitted? That would just be wind in his sails, like crazy wind in his sails. So a lot of Democrats say, we want him brought to justice. We want him brought to justice. Well, 12 jurors could vote in favor of Trump, and so I say, maybe having it just be out there and having this kind of tension and this discomfort around it may play into Biden's hand even better than if he were to stand trial and be acquitted, because that would be a victory. And a victory before an election is not anything you ever want to see your opponent have.
That's such a great point. And to be honest, I never even reflected on that. I was so concerned with the pace that this thing is taking, which is excruciatingly slow. And you're right. I mean, okay, you speed it up, acquittal, boom, game over.
Well, exactly. That's why you pay me the big bucks.
That's it. Michael, thank you. Love.
Oh, see, look what happens. We bring up money and it's like, goodbye. Yeah, we're done with it.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
That's right. Go over to Sam's. Get him a Movado watch.
Have a good weekend.
All right. See you. Michael Shure, everybody. Thank you. Love seeing you, Michael. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being
The Mark Thompson Show.
part of our meetup last night. It was really, really cool. I have been instructed and reminded that there are two different drops going up against each other this hour in Mark's Madness. So let's get it on. What? Oh, wait. I can't get it on until I get it on. All right, now let's get it on.
Now,
I can't believe it!
Mark's Madness.
Two drops. You vote for one or the other. Either you vote for
I've come from regular stock.
Regular stock or the favorite of mine.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
That's right. Again, either
I've come from regular stock.
Or
hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Only one moves on to the next round. Vote now live in the chat or all night in the community section of our YouTube channel. What you've been putting it up and blinking for a second and then taking it off, Tony. Where is the voting now? I see people are already ahead of me. Regular said, this is a race. Are you kidding me?
What?
This is a race. Which one of you is just barely ahead in YouTube voting? And you can see we're just now beginning the voting. It's still less than 100 votes. Which one of you is 56%? Regular stock is 40%. Wow, this is why I love this. I don't know how to handicap this.
I've come from regular stock.
I forget which one I chose to move on, but I have a bracket.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
I don't know. Those are the two that are going up against each other. And still live in the community section, you can't vote up for them live anymore, is the first hour competition between The Producer Has No Idea and Going Back to Texas. Again, you can vote on those in the community section.
Those will be up at 1 o'clock.
Oh, at 1 o'clock. Yeah, okay.
Right
Very,
when the
very
show's
good.
finished, they'll be live, so you can vote.
Cool.
Vote again if you want.
Excellent. That's right. Vote as many times
Thanks,
as you
Tony.
want. That's right. I'd never thought of it that way. Yeah. I've just been voting once. You're right. I could vote many more times if I wanted to. Okay. Smash the like button if you would. It was such
with
a
your iron rod.
great night last night, meeting with everybody who joined us from the meetup, and we will do another meetup soon. It was so much fun. Everybody who joined we had people joining from Chicago, and Brad in Chicago. Who joined from Taiwan? Somebody else joined from Taiwan. Was it Kim? Do you, is Kim still with the show?
Kim, how are you?
No, she's, okay.
I'm here. I don't know who else was from Taiwan.
Yeah, yes, you do. She, anyway, and we had I should write this stuff down, but
was it Lori? Or Laura? With a tropical background? I don't know.
No, it wasn't her. No. Anyway, we had sort of I love all those exotic entries.
Crowd,
yeah, from Chicago and from Taiwan. Anyway, we'll do another one maybe next month. So we'll try to get one up and going because a lot of people expressed regret that they couldn't be part of this one. It really was fun. So we'll do another one soon.
It's a real treat to see everybody in the chat. You kind of get to know people by what they say every day, and you get to know who they are. And then to be able to meet them in person and hang out for a couple hours is really fun.
It was beyond fun. In fact, I wanted to read you something here.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Well, I did receive this email.
I'm glad people thought it was positive too. I liked it.
Yeah, people really did. Daniel says, just a quick note to tell you I had fun
good.
Last evening at the meetup. I had technical issues for the first 20 minutes.
Uh-oh.
That's very on brand for the show, though. Yeah. Thank you for having technical problems. He said, I know that you never have technical problems. I switched computers. Finally, everything was great. I'm sorry I wasn't more active in the conversation. I was really enjoying listening to you and the other guests interacting. Commented on the lighting. He likes the lighting now, Tony, and feels like he needs to get you involved in making his lighting better at his place, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
All right. Jefferson did more than me, though.
Yeah, you guys both work together.
Blue? We have blue today, right?
Yeah, we're code blue today.
We're code blue. It's code blue. So everything's okay. Yeah. And Liz Reeves, our latest, I guess she joined in Patreon. I just want to give her a big shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah, and she says, hello, Albert, Kim, and Tony.
Hey, Liz.
Yeah, right on. I had something else for you. I've been an OG subscriber since day one. Wow,
All
big
right.
shout out.
Big shout out.
Why is Kim so hostile toward you? He's asking.
I'm hostile?
Robin was never hostile toward Howard.
Oh.
Big shout out. Well, she's probably just defending herself, really, is the truth of it, because I give her a hard time. I think she gives me a hard time back. I assure you that underlying or underpinning all of that is a real love relationship.
It's true. It's true.
I don't want
I
you to
have
take
nothing but love for you.
I don't want you to take anything that Kim says or attitude too seriously, or either one of us. Yeah. All right, smash the like button like a boss.
With your iron rod.
Kim will show her love by giving us a terrific news segment. I'll get Michael Snyder secured in studio, and the great culture blaster will join us next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. Let's start with a story about the family of the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They want her name pulled off of this award after the Opperman Foundation, in charge of giving out the award, which in the past has recognized women of distinction, was handed out to SpaceX CEO Elon Musk there on the left and conservative media mogul Rupert Murdoch on the right this year.
Wow.
Yeah. Ginsburg's family says, no. Selection of this year's honorees, the Opperman Foundation is straying from the original mission of the award and from what Justice Ginsburg stood for. They call it an affront to Justice Bader Ginsburg's memory, and they want her name off of this award if that's the way it's going.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's not going to work out.
Take my name off the award.
You just don't get it.
Yeah, you don't. It's
You
not
don't.
right. Ruth would not want it.
The Biden administration's first public event on marijuana reform is taking place today. Vice President Kamala Harris will be hosting a roundtable discussion on the topic with Grammy-nominated rapper Fat Joe, Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear, and individuals who've received pardons for prior cannabis convictions.
Wow.
Doesn't anybody better weed?
Yeah. Why not?
Not such a pretty situation in the Crescentia Valley Town Council. One of the members of the town council is a little bit in trouble after he was spotted urinating on the front door of a popular LGBTQ club in downtown Los Angeles. Chris Kilpatrick and another man were caught in the act on security cameras last weekend outside of this club called Precinct. Kilpatrick is accused of throwing the bar manager to the ground after he was confronted about this. According to his lawyer, Kilpatrick and his boyfriend were afraid they were going to be gay bashed by two employees who approached them and grabbed Kilpatrick aggressively. So it doesn't look like this was a hate crime or they were, it just looks like a messy night.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. The amusement park on the Santa Monica Pier Pacific Park is now in the hands of an investment firm. Will it remain the same? It's SC Holdings, specializing in sports, entertainment, and hospitality, announced today as the new owner of, yesterday, as the new owner of Pacific Park. During the next 5 years, the firm is planning to invest $10 million into improving the food and entertainment attractions and overall operations there. Pacific Park has a dozen rides at least, plus games and dining as well. I don't know if we can rally a picture of this, Tony, because I couldn't get it done. But the wife of Dodger star Shohei Ohtani is now being revealed. She is Mamiko Tanaka, and she's a former Japanese basketball player. There was all kinds of speculation when he said he was married, but he didn't say to whom or didn't release a picture or anything else. And people were thinking, well, who did he marry? Well, the two were photographed yesterday before boarding a plane to Seoul, South Korea, where the Dodgers and the Padres will open the new MLB season next week. There she is. Yeah, she's really tall, 5'11". So the last month, Otani announced he was married, but again, didn't share her name. Tanaka retired from professional basketball last year. She was eligible to be drafted into the WNBA, but chose to stay in Japan and play in her home country. So she's a really good basketball player. Look at them together.
I guess. That's really great. That's a great relationship. Couple of, champion athletes.
That's right. They understand that mindset, what it means to be successful and reach the top of your game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them.
This report is sponsored by you, which means we rely on you to help us fund The Mark Thompson Show. Find us at themarkthompsonshow.com. It's Patreon, it's PayPal. Also, the links are in the show description as well, if for some reason you have trouble accessing the website. And of course, the super chats and super stickers are open here on YouTube. I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
100% effective. How about that?
There is no defense for my conduct.
Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Seriously, what the?
Right on, everybody. Great to have everyone here. It is our Friday show. We've done Florida. We've done politics. We are in the middle
of Mark's Madness.
Damn straight. I love it. And this is a great one going. We've either got...
I come from regular stock.
Yeah, that or your...
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
That's right. Again, you'll vote for...
I come from regular stock.
Or you'll vote for...
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
So it's stock.
I come from regular stock.
Clarence Thomas.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Yeah, the guy who doesn't know who I am, which I understand, actually. Which drop moves on? You decide. Good luck. Again, Michael Snyder, I know you're a big one for Mark's Madness. Michael plays every year, and I'm sure that you have a vested interest in the outcome of Mark's Madness, this annual event, which brings people from disparate backgrounds and different ethnicities and religious backgrounds, different political persuasions. They all come together, Michael. They all come together for Mark's Madness.
Why are you yelling?
And the fact is, Michael, that I know you're one of these people.
Why are you yelling?
And so the point I'm trying to make to you, Michael Snyder, you're a regular Friday participant, you were with us last night, is that I know that you understand the significance of this segment. Am I right, Michael Snyder?
Why are you yelling?
You are correct, sir.
Okay.
You are correct. And in fact, I do have a vested interest in this year's Mark's Madness, as you well know.
Yes, you do. I don't want to release your picks, but I know that you have made them.
And I did lobby last night during the meet and greet for people to vote for my drop. I'm telling you, in the here and now. I know it's wrong. It's electioneering. I know that it's probably some kind of campaign finance nightmare, but nonetheless, I got out there.
It will be upcoming. Michael's talking about.
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
That drop is up against a very tough drop in this first round. But you did make it into the play-in. You survived the play-in.
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
So good for you on that. Before I get to the substantive, I'd like to ask a technical question, if I might. And I suppose to do that, I bring in Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony, why is it that Michael Snyder's avatar is not being seen? Is there a is there a reason for that, Michael? Is it Michael's fault?
There's no one logged in.
I provided you guys with
no, but I thought you do
glamorous portraits.
I thought you usually log in with your phone.
I don't do it personally.
Oh, you don't?
Only when I'm off-site.
You have it. I see. So when you come here, you haven't done anything different this time?
No. Albert generally posts.
Oh, you know
the
what he
image.
does? He logs in with his phone, but changes it to you. I see. All right.
And to be honest with you, I love those glamour portraits that I sent you guys.
Michael sent glamour pictures of himself, so maybe
I got a boa around my neck. Not a boa constrictor, a feather boa.
Kim can help with
stuff.
that. Sorry, this is something I had not anticipated, which is why we didn't bring it up in pre-show meetings. But, we usually meet, Michael, before the show starts, like around 5 a.m., and we go through what is likely to be the day ahead. This did not come up. So,
yeah, that's when I'm going to bed.
Kim, if you have it, maybe you can share it with Tony, or Tony, if you have it, maybe you can share it. And if neither one of you has it, or maybe you do have it, but you don't want to share it, well, then that's the other eventuality also. So I think we've covered it all. And
The Mark Thompson Show.
Culture Blaster, what do you have for us today?
Well, one thing I'll say, which is a shocker, this may be the first time I didn't come and go on a rainbow.
Oh, my God. I knew I was forgetting something. God almighty. I do not.
Not that I'm offended.
I was distracted. It comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for the Culture Blast?
Now we're talking, it's the Ides of March. One of the things that one of the guests we had last night brought up, I said, hey, it's Pie Day, because it was 314. And, of course, after the meet and greet, I went to Blaze Pizza to get my $3.14 pizza. Yeah. And there was a line that went up down the block, and I was like, I think Kung Pao chicken tonight. But anyway, it is the Ides of March. Yeah. And as a Shakespearean scholar, I want to say, watch your back, number one.
I have the Ides of March pencil and pen holder.
This is a great day to invite an enemy over to your house and make use of that set of Ginsu steak knives on your kitchen counter. I will be having a Caesar salad at lunch in honor of Julius, and I will be eating it with a fork, no other cutlery necessary. Too dangerous on March 15th. Anyway, I thought that I would lead off this Culture Blast with a list of the movies that I am not going to review today, because we get so many options. You've got to pick and choose. You leave it to me, Mark, right? You generally say, Michael, whatever you want to do,
yes, sir.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's say what I'm not going to review. Let's kick it off with Arthur the King, which Kim already mentioned in her box office report.
By the way,
earlier.
your glamour picture of you eating chocolate ice cream or something is up there now, and I don't even know. I don't know that it looks better, but all right.
Here I am emulating President Biden with my love of ice cream.
I see. Very good.
Anyway, Arthur the King is a purportedly feel-good, inspirational movie about a pro-adventure racer, whatever that is, played by Mark Wahlberg, who develops a relationship with a scruffy mutt named Arthur when the dog accompanies the racer and his crew on a journey lasting hundreds of miles. They lost me at Wahlberg. I almost went back because of the dog, but I went, no. Okay, here's another one I decided not to review.
So you did see the movie, but you've decided not to review?
No, I didn't see. These are things I went like, I just don't have the time.
Okay.
The Neon Highway. Now, this was a little more provocative. It's about a down-on-his-luck singer-songwriter and a washed-up country star played by Beau Bridges, who head back to Nashville together to give the music biz one last go. If the country star had been played by Jeff Bridges, I might have watched, but they already made and released that movie. It was called Crazy Heart. It was great, and there is no way in hell this new one would be anywhere near as good. Okay, let's see. So no Neon Highway. French Girl. French is my second language.
I can't believe, and girl is one of your favorite topics.
Yeah, very much. So it's a rom-com about a jerk of a middle school teacher played by Zach Braff, who jeopardizes his dream relationship because he doesn't trust his current and perfect girlfriend, who is a gourmet chef, played by Evelyn Brochu, and an old and manipulative girlfriend, played by Vanessa Hudgens, comes back into his life. I don't have to see this to say, screw that guy, number one, messing up his relationship. Number two, boy, does this sound tired. All right, finally, the fourth movie I decided to pass on, Irish Wish. Now, St. Patty's Day is coming up on Sunday.
Jen, you're a big one for that.
Seems like a great weekend. It's on Netflix. It's a fantasy rom-com, like, aren't they all? Seriously. And it stars, Lindsay Lohan as a woman who decides to be the bigger person and a bridesmaid when the love of her life is about to marry her best friend at a lavish wedding in Ireland.
Wow.
But a last-minute wish apparently complicates matters. I wish they stopped making movies like this.
Oh, Michael, that's so sad. It looks to me like they're happy and they're young kids with a dream.
Yeah, no. Anyway, in one of those rare bits of synchronicity that occur now and then, the three most significant movies that I'm covering today, even if we mention these in passing, these each address the ugliness of bigotry and prejudice, albeit in very different circumstances and milieus.
Okay.
The best film to be released this week is also the most important, as it is yet another reminder of the horrors that humanity can unleash in the name of nationalism and the acquisition of power, as fueled by bigotry and heedless cruelty. One Life is an intermittently wrenching, ultimately uplifting docudrama about Nicholas "Nicky" Winton, a London stockbroker who visits Prague in December of 1938, right before the Nazis are going to occupy Czechoslovakia and close the border. So with the clock ticking, Winton spearheads an effort to rescue as many children, predominantly Jewish kids, as possible, getting them to England while it still can be done, even as the Nazi menace is ramping up. One Life is graced by a finely tuned and quietly moving performance by Anthony Hopkins as its centerpiece.
Wow.
Although it feels in places like a standard issue World War II era historical drama, it does benefit from its time-shifting biopic elements with Johnny Flynn, who I believe played Bowie in a docudrama a few years back, here playing Nicky as an idealistic young man, and Hopkins playing Winton in his twilight years, a retiree pained by memories of the tragedy that spurred and plagued his efforts and haunted by the regret for those he failed to save. So as both ends of the story play out, they dovetail by the conclusion of One Life, and there should not be a dry eye cast upon it at that point.
Wow.
Hopkins and Flynn are aided on screen by a fine company that includes, get ready, Helena Bonham Carter as Nicky's mother in the flashbacks, and Lena Olin as Winton's wife in the sequences with the elder Nicky. Director James Hawes oversees this heartfelt screenplay by Lucinda Coxon and Nick Drake, not the late singer-songwriter, which the screenwriter is based on a biography of Winton written by his daughter Barbara. So besides the continually relevant idea that fascism is bad, the movie's most resonant message is really simple. One man and one life can make a difference. I thought this was a very good film.
I remember this story. It's a powerful one. I mean, you realize just what you've said, which is that at this time of pending Nazi occupation, certain death for these Jewish kids, that he was able to make a difference, and a big difference at that.
And again, the climax of the film is beautiful and very, very touching. Okay, I so wanted the American Society of Magical Negroes to be great. That's the title, honestly. Or at least I wanted it to be very good. So from the title alone, I expected something boldly satirical and fearless in its refusal to kowtow to political correctness, as it skewers stereotypes and pokes fun at prejudice with the intent of undermining institutional and generational racism. This is my perception of this title. And I do believe that screenwriter and director Kobe Libby tried to do those very things, sometimes successfully, in the American Society of Magical Negroes. Man, what a mouthful. And that suggests the existence of the title organization dedicated to making white people feel comfortable around black people by supernatural means, the source of which is never clearly explained. The idea is, let's nip violence in the bud, right? Violence and hatred. But the movie seems to lose sight of what it wants to achieve because it just doesn't seem clear on it. And while this elaborate shadow world and fuzzy backstory don't quite hold together, there are moments, It does score a few knockout punches, it unleashes a few pointed and very funny gags, and benefits from a very impressive lead performance from Justice Smith as Aaron, who's a naive 20-something biracial artist whose blackness compels him to be wary and deferential to white people, And there's also very genial supporting work from In Living Color cast member and the veteran actor from The Color Purple and They Cloned Tyrone, and the recent Oscars announcer, David Alan Grier. Here he plays Roger, who recruits Aaron to be a member of the secret society, and he also serves as Aaron's mentor. So over the course of one assignment at a tech company that provides some all too familiar moments of spoofage, Aaron finds himself falling for a woman who is meant to end up with the a-hole white tech bro that Aaron is assigned to mollify. So there's a bit of a rom-com here amid the social satire. So I may be in the minority, and again, I think that the movie wasn't successful in achieving all its goals, but I did like enough elements of it that I ended up wishing it had been better as a whole, and I think it's worth watching, if only to get to a speech by Smith at a crucial moment that really gutted me. I mean, Smith was very good in, among other things, the con artist crime drama Sharper and the sword and sorcery romp Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, but this monologue was a whole nother level.
Wow.
Anyway, if you're interested, and again, it's problematic, the American Society of Magical Negroes is in theaters.
Okay. Wow. You liked it.
I did.
Qualified.
Qualified liked it, yeah. Okay, how about the movie I liked the most? And there's actually a subtext here that's going to appeal to you, Mark.
All right.
As much as I admired One Life, my favorite movie of this week's segment is The Animal Kingdom. A very wild, and that's literally wild, sci-fi drama from France with subtitles in English, starring one of France's most prolific leading men, Romain Duris.
Prolific's a ding word.
Featuring one of the country's most daring actresses, Adele Exarchopoulos. I think that's it, Exarchopoulos.
Right.
Adele was in Blue is the Warmest Color. She's done a lot of good work. And by the way, provides an appropriately French accented voice to a new emotion character in Pixar's Inside Out 2, coming out soon. She voices, and boy, is this appropriate, Ennui. So the French actress is doing the voice of Ennui. I love that.
I get it.
Anyway, so in The Animal Kingdom, which is directed and co-written by Thomas Caillet, an unexplained plague has beset humanity. Certain people are uncontrollably mutating into hybrid creatures that are, at first, part human, part animal.
Wow.
But the fear is that the animal part will gain dominance. So Dory plays Francois, a cook whose wife, Lana, has succumbed to the mutation, and though he's tried to help her retain her human side, he finally agrees to have her transferred to a rural center for treatment, and accompanied by their 16-year-old son, Emile, played by Paul Kersher, he moves to the town where the center is located. Only the bus transporting the wife and other mutates crashes on the way to the center.
Oh,
and
no.
The creatures who survive the crash hightail it into the woods. In short order, they're pursued by cops, including a sympathetic one played by Exarchopoulos, and government troops who want to corral the Beastie Bunch. Now, Francois and Emile need to look for Lana while trying to fit into their new town, which, as a microcosm of society in the movie, has plenty of people who fear and hate what they refer to as critters. Although it doesn't get too deep into its themes, The Animal Kingdom does reflect the racism, xenophobia, panic about infectious diseases, and cruelty to animals that continue to plague the real world. So the whole idea of these people being transformed into animals and humans disdaining them or thinking of them as lesser does actually, I think, resonate with you, Mark. If
Absolutely.
I'm not mistaken.
No, again, right. We do not afford them the same respect that we do other human beings.
Hey, by the way, The Animal Kingdom was not only an opening night feature at last year's Cannes Film Festival, it won 4 Césars, and that's the French Oscar, including Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, and Best Sound. And that quality is in evidence throughout The Animal Kingdom. It's in select theaters and available to stream on demand right now at the usual digital platforms.
Oh, that's intriguing. I think I would like to, and especially since it's your favorite. Yeah.
Of the 3, yeah. I believe.
Oh, no, of the 3. I mean, it's not of all the movies of the season.
One Life is more important. Magical Negroes is flawed. The Animal Kingdom is in my sweet spot.
Got it.
So, quickly, I want to talk. We haven't mentioned this on the air, but it's the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes, sir.
Larry David's Dare to Be Obnoxious masterpiece of situation comedy with him playing a messed up version of himself that I hear is not too far off the real thing, by the way. and Ted Danson playing a fictional version of himself. And my old pal, Richard Lewis, the Prince of Pain, who we lost, unfortunately, a week or so ago, playing a version of himself. And probably his final work on screen was an episode fairly recently, which I think was called Disgruntled, which was absolutely on fire. And I'll
have to go back and check it out. I remember he's done so much good work in that series. And clearly, David lets him run. It gives him a lot of room. So they must have been very close.
They were very tight. Apparently they went to school together when they were kids, or they went to camp together. It's a long-term, and they had a very combative relationship as kids. And eventually on the New York comedy circuit, they ended up thawing out that relationship and became friends for life. Thanks to mutual friends on the comedy scene, I had the pleasure of knowing this guy for a number of years and even shared airtime with him back on Alex Bennett's radio show. Richard Lewis was a beautiful bundle of angst. I don't know how else to put it. And he mined his neuroses and all these things that genuinely bedeviled him and turned them into the stuff of brilliant, self-lacerating stand-up comedy. And, he was on ABC's Anything But Love alongside Jamie Lee Curtis, now Oscar winner, and the very talented Ann Magnuson. That was about 4 seasons back in the 90s, I think. And he did some movie work, including some very affecting dramatic turns and the expected comedy stuff. He was just a lovely guy. And I know most people know him from Curb Your Enthusiasm or his Letterman visits, which were numerous.
Sure.
But he was cool, man. He had his emotional issues and disappointments in relationships and stuff until he met the one. And I was very happy that he coupled, and she has been like a rock to him for the past decades.
Michael Snyder with a very lovely tribute to Richard Lewis, including a couple of ding words, lacerated and I believe bedeviled. I will give him that.
Yeah, I sometimes go ahead. Did you know Richard at all? Had you met him?
I mean, I knew him, and I talked to him. We we would run into each other occasionally, but I didn't. I'm a fan. I think he's great. I think his stand-up was so. I just think it was, in a way, a cutting edge, I suppose, because that angst thing hadn't been done on stage that way. I mean, being a fan of stand-up, I love that he was able to plumb that for so much,
Right. His catchphrase was the blank from hell.
Right.
In other words, the girlfriend from hell being sort of the kind of archetype of that phrase.
And the idea of somebody who, again, it's a sympathetic character on stage because his life is, no matter what happens, let me tell you, oh, no, it was awful. What happened was, you're drawn to that kind of story automatically, right?
They're very confessional.
Confessional, but always with the downside. Let me tell you how I got screwed over. Let me tell you how this turned into a total horror show for me. That, you can't help but be on some level transfixed by that.
What do they say? Comedy is tragedy plus time, right?
Yes.
So,
speaking of time, we are out of it. So let me just review what the great Culture Blaster has shared with us today. Arthur the King and Mark Wahlberg passed on it. The Neon Highway with Beau Bridges, he passed on it. French Girl rom-com with Zach Braff, he passed on it. And Irish Wish, the Netflix fantasy rom-com with Lindsay Lohan, he passed on that.
That's not all. Come on, I didn't just say no.
Meantime, he did go and attend the special screening of One Life, the Nicholas Winton story, the effort of one man to rescue as many children, most of them Jewish, as he could from Nazi occupation and most certain death in Nazi-occupied Europe. In this case, it was I believe it was the Czech Republic.
Czechoslovakia
in Prague.
This was in Prague, yeah. He saw it first.
Anthony Hopkins stars. I can't wait to see that movie. It's in theaters. The American Society of Magical Negroes, the Justice Smith offering. He plays Aaron, a biracial artist. Also David Alan Grier in this one. Michael really liked it. He didn't love it, but he certainly liked the message, and apparently there is a speech toward the end of the movie which is almost worth the price of admission. That is in theaters.
It's daring, and I liked it. I won't say really liked it. I really liked...
The Animal Kingdom was his pick of the litter this week. The actress from Blue is the Warmest Color is in it. It's a wonderful take on something that will likely land with many of our audience. The Animal Kingdom is in theaters.
And available on streaming, and also stars one of our friend Heather's absolute favorite actors, Romain Duris, the great French leading man.
Perhaps a quick word about Richard Lewis is what we got, and I thought it was more than quick, and it was deserving of more than quick. I thought you had very nice reflections on that. And so I'm giving you a certifiable and respected recorded applause.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you kindly.
Yeah. There you go.
I love it. And boy, again, it was so great to meet and greet last night with numerous members of
people
the Mark
love
Thompson
you,
Show
Michael Snyder.
audience.
They love their culture blaster, and it was good to have you and part of the discussion. You're always welcome at any party that we have.
Thanks. Now I'm about to go do a little more electioneering, only this time with MAGA Mickey, who is my
MAGA Mickey is our favorite.
2024!
Yeah, I mean, again, one of a kind, but very special is MAGA Mickey.
All right.
Michael, of course, read in the Marina Times. You can find him knocking around San Francisco, the clubs. He comes and he goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, everybody.
Go Warriors, even in a futile effort.
Meantime, Michael Snyder, even as I love seeing you, I want to recognize a couple of. How about TG? TG hit me with a Movado watch drop. Mark and crew for a 20.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Right on. I'm loving that. TG.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
God, I love that drop too. It lost to Michael Snyder's drop. That's why Movado watch didn't make it into the tournament. Lost in the play-in. Colors of the Wind for the 5-spot. Big shout out. Thank you for the super sticker.
Thank you.
And as we mentioned, Gail Guthrie hit us with a super sticker earlier. A lot of fun and so cool to see everybody last night. Is Albert a great producer or what, says S. Jones. Yes. Or what is what I would say. He's
Albert, thank you.
No, he was really great the way he stepped up and made Florida happen today. And he continues to ride herd over Mark's Madness 2024. So thanks again to the great Albert for that. He is deserving of all accolades. He really is terrific. Now, speaking of Mark's Madness 2024. I had let me just do this before I get into trouble. I have special stuff that I need to do. Mark's Madness 2024 now includes an update. Give it to me.
I can't believe it! Mark's Madness.
We're seeing regular stock go up again.
I come from regular stock.
Which one of you is Mark Thompson? And I believe the latest tally as we
which one of you is Mark Thompson?
As we finish up is which one of you is Mark Thompson just beating out 59 to 41% regular stock. So again, you vote for.
I come from regular stock.
That or
which one of you is Mark Thompson?
And voting now in the community section of our YouTube channel. That's the latest on Mark's Madness. A lot to do, a lot of different sources to do it. The community section and the producer in Taiwan, another producer here. Kim, what do you have for us on the way out here?
A little bit of breaking news today, as a matter of fact. We knew that this was going to happen, and now we do have Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade resigning. His resignation has been accepted by DA Fonnie Willis, who called him brave for accepting this job that brought threats against himself and his members of his family, but that he, without asking for the job, took the job. So he has resigned. His resignation has been accepted, and now to appeal this ruling, the parties involved have until March 25th if that happens. But he's already resigned. So here, that's the breaking news.
Yeah, and it was to be expected. We led the show with Judge Scott McAfee's 23-page ruling, which was issued today.
Yeah.
And that was breaking news when that hit this morning, which essentially said that one of you has to go.
Yeah.
Either Willis goes or Wade goes. But you can't both stay on the case. And so we knew that Willis would stay. I mean, it was pretty predictable. Right. And that Wade had to withdraw. And that was not because there was improprietous activity, but it was because the appearance of improprietous activity is what the judge wanted to avoid. So
he should be dinged for improprietous.
Improprietous, strong. Yes, yes. Tony, I love it. I love that you've stepped into the role of this Mark's Madness. I know you may not like it, but I love it.
I'm good.
And I want to see it one more time.
Now,
God damn it. I want to see
Mark's
it one more
Madness.
time. Show me that poll, Tony. Got a hot one going. It's either
I'd come from regular stock,
or it's
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
you vote for only one. Either
I'd come from regular stock,
or
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
one or the other. It's a close match. It's going on in the community section of our YouTube channel now. Vote, and there is more coming next week. Mark's Madness continues all through March. Wow, and there it is. The poll is complete. Which one of you is Mark Thompson? 58%. Regular stock got 41%. But I'll remind you, that is just in the live voting. Now we get to the community section, and separated by what is just 9 percentage points? 9 percentage points could be made up in the course of 6 minutes in the community section. I encourage your participation. On Monday, we'll kind of see what all of this has done to many brackets after 1 week of Mark's Madness. I will share with you my bracket. Michael Snyder, you'll share what's happened to your bracket. But you can lose a bunch and still make it all the way. You just can't lose the one that's going all the way. So, all right. The After Party Live is going down now. I think Kim has already left the building.
We'll do it live.
Yeah.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
And everyone have a great weekend. Thanks again for all the ways you support this show. Tony, thank you, pal. You've
Thanks,
done
Tony.
a lot of work, and I appreciate
I'm
it.
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
And Albert, thank you, pal, from Taiwan.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Until Monday, everybody, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.